ignore the things that I send you?
All the time.
Julio.
I'm kidding.
This is my last show.
I'm kidding. Okay.
Last show of 2019.
Yeah. Last show of the decade. Probably. Yeah. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see how this... we got out of Cats.
2019.
2019. Yes. Until in 10 years later they do a remake. Oh. Wait, but this is version A of Cats.
In 30 years they make a sequel.
Cat.
And yes, and it's basically a sequel remake, and you bring back all the old actors for all the nostalgia trip, you know?
Right.
And it's like Cats 2.
The last meow.
The
meowing. The last meow.
The meow awakens.
Initial thoughts before we get into the crux of everything.
A beautiful film. Impeccable.
Alexis,
what was the question?
Initial thoughts before we dive into the conversation of it all.
I don't know what I just watched.
Okay. All right. I knew full well what I was getting myself into. I watched the filmed version of the Broadway musical, and I listened to the soundtrack and all that stuff, and I know the music and everything going in, so I knew fully well what I was getting myself into. Unlike some people who we watched it with.
Watched it with Julio. And Julio wanted to walk out like 30 minutes into the film.
There's not much of a plot. It's just a bunch of cats trying to introduce themselves. It's kind of like a long resume, I guess.
They're Jellicle cats.
Okay. What was the real reason we went to go see this movie?
The reason why is because everybody's like, oh my god, this is bad. Like, kind of like Room level bad, where it's like a bad movie, but you could enjoy it as well.
The reviews, which have been downright terrible, I think made us all want to go see this movie even more.
Yeah.
So we knew what we were getting into, and I think we got exactly what we were expecting in some way.
Yeah.
Our friend Julio did not. And as a result, he had a terrible time, apparently. Is it 3 times he wanted to walk out?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was mad. It was funny.
Okay.
Which, I don't know.
I mean, I was never angry. Why would you be angry at this?
No.
This was a beautiful film. I was happy.
Okay, guys, do you think the movie was well made, or do you think that it was...
Okay. If you want to be serious for a second...
We weren't being serious?
The dancing is good. Half of the singing is good.
Half of the singing?
Half. And I mean half.
And this is a musical, by the way.
Yeah.
In case he didn't even know it was a musical.
He didn't know it was a musical.
The poor bastard.
Holy shit. And like, it's not just that it's a musical. It's Tom Hooper, he did Les Mis, and they do that like that singy, talky thing throughout the whole movie. Is there ever a point where they're not singing and talking or whatever?
4 sentences.
Yeah, that's it.
The entire time they're singing. What else? The sets are interesting.
Sets? Those are sets?
Yeah.
It looked... Okay.
They look like sets. Come on now. They were interesting.
Certain shots look like sets.
Yeah. But what's weird is, like, there was no consistency to how big or small the props were. So sometimes, compared to the environment, the cats look really small.
Mm-hmm.
But then other times, they look really big. It was weird. Wait, we're supposed to be on positives. Jay Hudson went for that Oscar.
She's not getting it.
She's not getting it.
But damn it, she didn't try. She tried.
You had a question before about her character, right? Grisabella, the glamorous.
There's so many questions.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? One question. There are so many questions.
Okay.
People gotta understand this. Look, this is an adaptation of the musical.
Right.
I think it's fair to say it's pretty faithful. And that's bad because not many people today like the musical. I think everybody doesn't even care for it. And the problem with this is that if you like narrative films, if you like stories, stay away from this movie.
Because they got none.
There's nothing in this. All this movie is cats introducing themselves and singing. It's like Kyle saying hi to you, and then he has a whole song, which he kind of usually does already. So
it's all of them. Well, there is a story. It's all of them are trying to go to the
isn't that a
Heaviside Layer?
Heaviside Layer to be reborn as the cat of their dreams, as a new cat. So it's basically a competition with all these cats to see if they will be reborn.
Kind of play on the whole idea that cats have 9 lives.
And then that's the story. Oh, and there's a bad cat
named McCavity.
Which was one thing they expanded on in the movie, right? I read that in the McCavity has a little bit more of a directly antagonistic role in the movie as compared to the Broadway show.
Okay, in the musical, he's more of like Swiper the Fox from Dora the Explorer. He would just pop in like every once in a while.
Right. But in this instance, he's directly interfering with the...
I mean, but you had to give Idris Elba something to do.
The visual effects are horrific. The problem why people are going to stay away from this movie is because that trailer took the world by storm in a bad way. Everybody was just horrified by how they look like, and the format of the film is so aggressively in your face that you're either going to like it or not. I don't think it ever stops being distracting, especially because we're going to say this film is highly sexualized, yet these felines have no genitals, and but they also have human feet and hands. The visual effects,
they're constantly rubbing on each other.
There was a shot, I think, of Mr. the Magician. What was his name?
Mr. Mistopheles.
His hands were human hands, weren't they?
Yeah.
But
the rest of them is like hair and all that stuff.
But that's right. I felt like, was that an error? Like an unfinished shot where it's like his hands?
Then they would have done that with the feet too.
What was weird is I actually think the first stuff was pretty good.
The first what was pretty good?
Like the body fur.
Okay.
But
As
I
it went on?
noticed that no. I thought in general it was pretty good. But like the face would shift.
That's the part I meant that looks bad.
Yeah. It would happen a lot.
It's one thing if you're on board with how they look like, that's fine. But the faces don't move with how the movement of the cats are.
They like shift sometimes too. It's
motion capture work, right?
Yeah.
They were all in these dot suits, the actors.
I assume.
It's kind of like...
I very much want to see the behind the scenes of this film.
It's kind of like, you know how in some of the Marvel movies, you know how when Iron Man doesn't have the mask on, and it's just Tony Stark and his head is kind of floating in some shots?
Kind of.
Okay. The performances...
Your favorite cats.
What do you Mr. Mistopheles?
Mr. Mistopheles,
he's the magic cat.
Mm-hmm.
J. Hud was the sad cat. Best singer. Grisabella. And why was she sad?
Because she was what Taylor Swift used to be. Like she rolled with McCavity at one point. And
Taylor Swift's cat in the movie.
Yeah, she abandoned the Jellicles. She's a former Jellicle, and she joined McCavity's side for a little bit, and then she got out. But ever since she got out and tried to say I'm sorry and all that stuff, everybody was just like, no, fuck you. You were with McCavity.
Well, you know what's so funny? Like, there's one moment in the movie where like she sings all sad, and then like she's supposed to walk away. But instead of walking away, she gets on all fours and crawls away like a cat.
There were many of those moments. Again, we're gonna critique this film. It's not a good movie for a lot of reasons, but I think it's fair to say, in case it's not being made clear, we had a great time with this. We knew what we were getting ourselves into, but it was so much fun. And we were laughing. It was so balls to the wall crazy.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, from beginning to end. I mean, the thing is that you need to know what you're getting yourself into to enjoy it. Unlike some people.
I came here to have a laugh.
Yeah.
And I had plenty of laughs. For reasons I didn't even know. You have to see this with a group of friends who understands what this is, and you won't have a better time in the theater all year long. And you have to see it in the theater to get that reaction. Like, a movie, or two films that people have compared this to, I guess, would be The Room, the Tommy Wiseau film, and then also Rocky Horror Picture Show. Because Rocky Horror Picture Show is, of course, the cult film of all time, basically, which is also a musical, which...
I would watch this film again at a midnight showing.
Yes!
With a crowd of people who are down to sing and know what they're getting into.
Yeah, that would be so much fun. Now, back to the analytical part of it.
Yes.
Most of the songs...
Let's analyze the film Cats.
The songs are terrible. Like, there's like
Ouch.
There's a handful that I like,
Ow.
but they're mostly terrible. Not that, like, they don't work musically. I mean, I'm sure they're fine that way. But if you're trying to get, like, if the songs are meant to get the message across or the story across, they fail spectacularly. That's what he's asking. What the fuck was up with Jennifer Hudson?
I did not understand half of what was going on.
The first three or four, the first numbers before Rebel Wilson comes in, I couldn't even understand what they were saying. I mean, singing, much less, like, pick up what was happening, right?
And they're not... I feel like, especially this kind of film, the songs need to be catchy. You know what I mean?
Now...
You didn't like McCavity, Mr. Mistopheles?
Well, hold up. Two of the songs were brand new, right? Or only one? Okay, so one of them was the Taylor Swift song that she wrote. And
I thought that was one of the better ones.
That was, for me, the better ones.
Yeah.
But all of the other ones are from Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those songs. I mean, the only one that I guess, like...
I guess you're going to hate Phantom of the Opera.
And people...
Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, but they're not good, right? And I just, like...
They're not terrible. Like, I just, like,
The one that I remember is the Taylor Swift song, of course, Memories, because that's, like, the signature song.
Yeah.
Mr. Mistopheles. That one, I don't know what it was, but at that point, I was like, fuck it, let's just have fun with this, you know?
The Rum Tum Tugger?
No.
You don't like that one?
No.
Okay.
That was awful.
All right.
The Rebel Wilson song.
Oh, God.
I don't remember the song
I don't remember
because
I was in horror. Like, just...
That she peeled off her skin.
Like, that was...
Several times, but
that was the first cat to get a number.
A highlight.
Yeah. And it starts off and it's like, hey, we're Jellicle Cats. Is anyone going to tell me what a Jellicle Cat is? No?
No!
It's just a group.
And it's like, what's your Jellicle name? And it's like, what does this mean? I don't know.
But in that sequence, there was, can we give it away? The cockroaches and mice?
Oh, God, that was so weird.
So, the cats have human faces on, but so do the cockroaches and the mice, who they devour.
That's where we want to see a spin-off where we see dogs.
And it's so, I mean, those moments are just, in and of themselves, so distracting and horrific. There was also a sequence where there was a dog that was apparently off camera, and we so wished we would have seen that dog.
Oh my God, this was a 10 out of 10, it's a 9 out of 10, because I did not see that dog. I wanted to see what the dog looks like, because I know for a fact they would have just, like, digitally made up, like, the person, like, 3 times bigger than the cat, running all fours, barking, and it would have been amazing. It would have been beautiful.
But then there's, like, full-grown people, as you see in the beginning of the...
Oh, yeah, I was like, oh, I guess there's humans in this, too.
Yeah.
Where the fuck were they all night?
Part of the reason why it's not going to work for a lot of people is because this is an adaptation of a Broadway play. First and foremost, not everything can translate into film, as we've discussed with The Lion King. And it's also inconsistencies with how the cats move and how they just are. Because they look humanoid, but there are times when they walk on their as humans, or they walk on all fours.
You see, that's where, like, it was really difficult. I mean, I appreciate the balls that Tom Hooper had to like translate Cats, because how the fuck would you tackle that?
I mean, my guess is the best way to have done this is an animated musical. At best, that might have looked
But
more.
how do you do the dancing? Because the dancing is one of the big
Yeah,
points
the
of it.
choreography.
Yeah.
Which, you're right, was good, but then there was this critic who said that at times it looked as if somebody collapsed on the editing machine and just clicked a random cut. The choreography does not land as well as it would on the stage. So it's clear, right?
Yeah, because here's the thing: when you're seeing something on stage, there's no cut to anything.
Yeah.
You're just seeing it like all in one, I guess, shot. I guess. And when you're watching it, versus on screen, you're constantly cutting from, oh, what's that person doing? Oh, what's that person doing? So it was very difficult because it is a stage presence to see.
One of the things
versus something like Les Mis. Les Mis has more of a narrative thing and not much choreography, unless you're talking about Master of the House. Then in that case, you have something like something like that. But all in all, when you're translating Les Mis from the stage to the screen, they're just standing there in front of mics.
Another reason why it doesn't work as a film is because the pacing is just the transitions are hilarious, because when one song comes to its end, it cuts to McCavity kidnapping a cat and then him saying McCavity in some weird way, and then out of nowhere we're rolling into the next number. There was like the very first time, I think it was it Rebel Wilson, like where he just like clawed her and then she disappeared. We were just erupting in laughter because what the fuck was that?
They never established they were magical cats.
And then
he was a magical cat, right?
Yeah, but so was
Mistopheles or whatever.
Gastopolis. They need to have better names. Holy shit.
Mr. Mistopheles.
Mr. Mistopheles.
And then James Corden as Buster Fur Jones.
Oh, well, the thing about Rebel Wilson is, of course, Rebel Wilson. They of course they had her just fall
all the time,
right? Like
she was the fat cat that falls, and he was the fat cat that eats. That was their characters. They had two of them. Most movies only have one.
I think the best part, and damn, I wonder what this would have looked like if we had more of him. Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen as Gus the theater cat.
I understand
he can't sing, but he's going for it.
But I think, and this is a good discussion about whether or not the actors knew what movie they were in, because like you said, Jennifer Hudson is going for that Oscar.
She is.
I don't think Ian McKellen was giving an Oscar. I think he knew what movie this was going to be.
Yeah.
J Hood was like doing kind of what Anne Hathaway did in 2012.
It's literally I Dreamed a Dream, but if she were in a cat CGI like nightmare. That's what it is.
But here's the thing, like you cut like,
and I think, look, I will say this: I think it is going to get a cult following because there are moments where if you're a fan of the musical, I think you're going to enjoy in this movie, like Memories. That does land.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Judi Dench just looking longingly. Judi Dench's entrance made me lose it.
Yeah.
That was.
And my thing is, why does she have to reborn? Why don't you guys just accept her again?
Oh God, are we really gonna go that deep?
Jennifer. Why does she need to be reborn? Why don't you just be like, oh, okay, you're cool. That's kind of all she needed.
We love you.
Okay.
Instead, this is the perfect way to get rid of her.
Yeah. Those monsters.
I guess you just gave away the ending.
Oh no.
Oh no, whatever shall we do? I think, like, I don't know, I keep on comparing it to, but it's the same director and same studio and everything like that.
Well, it's Tom Hooper.
Les Mis. Yeah. I feel the gravitas when it comes to Les Mis.
La gravidad.
La gravidad. Is that go?
Does it go?
We haven't done that in a while.
I've watched this 1,000 times more than that Beauty and the Beast trash.
Oh, for fucking sure. Like, at least it was I don't want to say intentionally bad. I'm pretty sure Tom Hooper was like, I'm going to make the next Les Mis. You know, what I did in 2012, I'm going to do it again this time.
I don't think he was the problem. I think the problem is Andrew Lloyd Webber's work hasn't aged well. It's so of that time, of the late 80s, early 90s.
If this movie were made in the 90s, I think it would have...
maybe it would have been a big hit.
Probably better.
But look, there's next to no narrative. The characters are flimsy at that. And the whole thing is just... Some of them are kind of unlikable. It's really hard to see how this could have been pulled off in where people would have... that's not even... to say nothing of the VFX, which a lot of people are just turned off by.
The vibe I was getting was... Have you guys seen the movie The Borrowers?
I think so. It's an old movie where there are little people.
Little people. I got that vibe watching the movie.
Okay, should we even... so, what is the answer for what went wrong? I don't know. I mean...
I think if they would have...
Peter, you got anything else?
I think the point of contention of this... I think the point of contention with all this stuff is just the graphics with the characters. I think maybe if you would have like had them in the costumes that they did in the musical, maybe.
What do you think, Peter? I think it would have been better if they just used leotards?
No, hell no. CGI that freaking fur. It was beautiful.
They're gonna lose so much money on this movie.
Oh God, I hope not. Everyone, go watch this movie. I wanted to make more than The Rise of Skywalker. Take your whole family.
Take your friends.
Take your friends. Don't tell them what you're watching.
I had a great time though. I'd watch it again.
It will live in my memory.
I'm done talking.
Okay. Peter?
I'm good. Watch it.
All right. Same. Catch you guys under the spotlight. Bye.